welcome to your Leo Nation, where we believe in the rule of law. I am the chief, the happily retired chief, Mark Garrett. Join us today, sometimes in the background and sometimes in the foreground. Our good friend, producer, Anthony Jackson from Commie, California. How you doing, Anthony?
I'm doing as well as I can be, Mark. How about you?
Well, it
Living
seems
out
like
here.
I'm doing better than you are based on your response there, but whatever that means. But I'll tell you something, Anthony. You and I are doing a lot better than some of the people in this country in a lot of ways. Thank God. Very grateful. But I'll tell you, I got to cut to the chase. We talk about what do we support here? Believe in the rule of law.
Hmm.
And there is one party, political party in this country that has lost their blankety blank minds. I'll say effing minds. I think we can go that far safely here. Um, it's when it comes to the rule of law. People talk about Trump derangement syndrome, and I believe that's a real thing now. I really do.
Oh yeah.
But some of the stuff we're seeing, I mean, it's going on beyond that. My collar's bothering me. It's Look, I see some of these Facebook posts, and sometimes I respond. These are, quote unquote friends of mine, Facebook friends, and some are real friends, and they're talking about, well, you just wait until Donald Trump deports a U.S. citizen. And I scratch my head. I really do. I sit there. You really believe that Donald Trump is going to start deporting U.S. citizens, and for what reason, and based on what constitutional authority? What Article 2 authority is the president going to deport American citizens? And then when we have this creep, and he is a creep, the father of the year from Maryland. And I hate to even say his name, but we will here in a minute. But he gets deported, and there's an administrative hiccup here, and he shouldn't have gone to El Salvador. Some stuff we're going to get into. And what happens? See, I told you so. This is all going to happen. Now Trump's supporting people who are legally here, and on and on and on. And people can't even seem to comprehend what actually happened with this guy and what the ramifications are about what President Trump, the new administration, is doing in regards to the 10 or 20, we don't really know, million people, the influx that happened under the Biden administration into this country. People don't seem to appreciate the reality of what's going on, what happened in those 4 years, and what the current administration is trying to do to at least mitigate those effects, if not, completely remedy that. I don't think it's possible, but certainly remedy that. Or mitigate it. So with that said, I want to talk about this crazy person, also known as a U.S. Senator. It's Chris. I call him Chris Van Halen, Chris Van Hollen, from Maryland. Now, so a little bit of background here. So we're talking about this illegal alien. Came here, I think, in 2011. Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He was deported to El Salvador. Now, I'm going to get a little timeline here. He's not a U.S. citizen. He came here illegally. He's still here illegally. He should have been deported a number of years ago, but he got deported. And now we have a U.S. senator. It's sinister. Actually, what a Freudian slip. Because it is sinister. This person is supposed to be representing American citizens. By the way, this Senator Van Hollen, he actually referred to this guy, Garcia, who's an illegal alien. He actually referred to him as one of his constituents. I mean, can you believe that? It's mind-boggling. By the way, it's not the first time it's happened. We hear this a lot, actually. Oh, my constituents. You're talking about illegal aliens, these elected representatives. I think, what do you mean your constituents? They're not constituents. They are citizens of another country. They're here illegally, and they should not have any representation as far as elected officials go. That said, Anthony, I want to start off with this before we get into a little timeline here and really fill in the blanks. I want to simplify this as much as I can for everybody so they understand what we're dealing with in the form of the Democrat Party as it relates to the rule of law. So, Anthony, if you wouldn't mind, can you play cut one, the good senator, for us, please?
Yep, let me cue that up.
In fact, Mr. Abrego Garcia is legally in the United States. In fact, an immigration judge found years ago that it would put his life in danger if he was returned to El Salvador.
There's no other way to say this, and I'm careful with this word, but this is a lie. This is a United States senator who just said that Garcia is in this country, or was in this country, because right now he's in El Salvador, legally. We know there's no dispute. He came here legally. He's one of the gotaways that got into this country. He didn't come through a port of entry. And he has now been sent back to his home country. He's actually a citizen of El Salvador. So we know that he is not here. I say he's not here. Right now he's in El Salvador. But we know that he's not been here legally. He was not here legally when he got deported. And Anthony, am I making sense so far? I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. I'm trying to set the foundation here.
No, yeah, you're making perfect sense. Especially, okay. I feel like there's a lot of on their side is they're trying to muddy the water on what's actually going on right now.
Well, there's no doubt about it. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about it. And for this senator to say that he's here legally, I mean, it's more than muddy in the water. It's dumping a big fat turd in it. I'm sorry. There's just no way around it. He was not here legally. He is an illegal alien, plain and simple. Now, you're talking about muddy the water. Now, I used to, I think a different, analogy. So what he is trying to, what he wants to fall back on is to say that a couple of years ago, there was an administrative ruling about where he could be deported or couldn't be deported. That's a different issue. It's an administrative issue from a judge. But he certainly is, when he's in this country, an illegal alien. He was. So with that, let me play the next one from this brilliant senator in Maryland. Play cut two for us, Anthony, please.
Mm-hmm. So I want to emphasize that President Trump and our Attorney General Pam Bondi and the Vice President of the United States are lying when they say that Abrego Garcia has been charged with a crime or is part of MS-13. That is a lie.
Stop. So we have two statements. First of all, he called President Trump and the administration, Pam Bondi, he called them liars. And he called them liars about what? He said that he's never been charged with a crime. He's not a member of MS-13. So with that, I want to go to this timeline. And again, he said that he's not here in this country illegally. So I want to go right from the Department of Homeland Security's website. And they have a little piece up here. It's called The Real Story. Kilmar Abrego Garcia is an MS-13 gang member with a history of violence. So I'm going to read directly from this. And they cut it up very, very nicely so even I can understand it. And maybe even some of our progressive friends might be able to comprehend this. Fast facts. When Garcia was arrested, he was found with rolls of cash and drugs. He was arrested back in 2019. He was arrested with two other MS-13 gang members. And what I'm reading from, by the way, let me pull up this so I can I'm going to read a little bit about this, just very briefly. On 3/28/2019 at approximately 2:27, the detectives from Hattiesville City Police Department, this is in Maryland, observed four individuals loitering in the parking lot of a Home Depot located at blah, blah, blah in Hattiesville. Detective approached the individuals. Two of the individuals reached in their waistbands and discarded several unknown items under a parked vehicle. All four individuals were stopped by Hattiesville officers. The detective immediately recognized Christiane Hernandez Romero as, quote unquote, or also known as Bimbo, as a member of the MS-13 Sailors Clique. Two small plastic bottles containing marijuana were located on scene. All four individuals were transported back to District 1 for interviews. It goes on. It talks about a second MS-13 gang member in that bunch they stopped, and it gets down eventually down here to Garcia. Officers interviewed Garcia. During the interview, observed wearing a Chicago Bulls hat and a hoodie with rolls of money covering the eyes, ears, and mouth of the presidents on the separate denominations. Officers know such clothing to be indicative of the Hispanic gang culture. The meaning of the clothing is to represent see no evil, hear no evil, and say no evil. Wearing the Chicago Bulls hat represents that they are a member in good standing with the MS-13. Now, if you continue here, this is just not the officers, the detectives who said this. It was later on ruled by judges that he was. When arrested, he was wearing a sweatshirt, rolls of money, so forth and so on, with the MS-13 gang symbol. 2 judges found that he was a member of MS-13. That finding has not been challenged since then. Here we are, 6 years later. That has not been, it says, disturbed. In other words, it's not been challenged, it's not been disputed. It's not been disputed. The senator said that he's here legally. That is a falsehood. I'll be nice. Said that he has not been charged with a crime. We'll read on here and find that he was. That is misrepresentation. And that he's not a member of MS-13. This is a U.S. senator. And you talk about being dishonest, deceitful, and like you said, Anthony, muddying the waters. I want to get your take on this. In other words, as a U.S. senator, he has access, I'm sure, far more access to the information I'm sharing right now. Yet he still says the things that he did on foreign soil, trying to get an illegal alien returned to this country. Anthony, what are your thoughts on this so far?
I mean, I think that there people like him that are overseeing these states. It's happening in California, a lot of progressive states, right? These people now, like, with just this information, people can, like, they can clearly see, like you and I, who are open-minded to it, that these people they're not dumb, they're not stupid, they're deliberately corrupt for a certain reason. There's a reason why this guy is pushing this. It's either to divide people or to, pass some type, or try to get some type of support, and showing that Trump is an evil man and his administration, right? And I mean, the court documents alone, and it proves that this is what's happening. And there's a lot of people that you want to shake around you and go, look what's happening. This guy is not, hey, just some father of whatever taking him out for a Slurpee, and then he gets caught up with ICE. Like, that's not happening at all. Like, MS-13 is one of the most brutal gangs on the planet. And, for him to have ties of that, and we have, thank God, an excuse to go, hey, you need to get the heck out of our country, and you're being deported to that prison, and for them to fight back, but then be okay with all of that happening during the Biden administration, it just shows it's not people being dumb. There's a deliberate thing going on that me and you and we are kind of scratching our heads right now going, why is this happening? I mean, that's my thought on it right now. It's kind of like, I'm questioning, what is this guy's motive to do this? Because we have the evidence that he's lying right here, and he's going, no, you're lying. Yes. And there's court documents. I don't know. I'm just scratching my head right now. Like, I think a lot of people. Yeah.
And Anthony, it's right. It is a head scratcher. You have to wonder what could be the possible motivation for someone to say something at this level that is so easily disprovable, so easily. I'm reading the documents right now. Here's another thing, and I just skimmed over this before we went on air, so I hadn't read through this carefully because it was, I mean, I knew there was a ton of information in here, but the very next line, now remember, this this idiot of a senator, I don't know what his motivation, like I said, but he says that he's not an MS-13. So the next line here, number 7, this is from our our great father from Maryland, our deportee, our illegal alien. He's an illegal alien from El Salvador. This is part of the process he was going through when he was arrested. He claimed fear of being returned to El Salvador, again, his home country, because he would be persecuted by MS-13's rival gang, Barrio 18. He himself admits that he'd be persecuted by a rival gang because he's in MS-13. Now, beyond the lies the senator is spewing all over the airwaves now, like a total jackass, like a total deranged jackass. Beyond that, we have to understand that MS-13, all these gangs now have been, identified. They've been designated actually by the president, under the Alien Enemies Act. And so this is why they're able to move out, Tren de Agua and MS-13 gang members who are illegal aliens because of this act from 1798. God bless Donald Trump for actually utilizing what's in the law. And so we know that by his own words, this guy is a member. We know he's an illegal alien. And yes, we know he's a criminal. And let's talk about that right now. So as we scoot on down here, the very next one, Jennifer Vasquez, Garcia's wife. By the way, there's a lot of debate now about whether they're actually married or if they're common law. I don't know, but they may not even be officially legally married. But anyway, Jennifer Vasquez, who claims to be Garcia's wife, petitioned for an order of protection against him. She claimed he punched her, scratched her, and ripped off her shirt and bruised her. And Anthony, we're going to post some of these documents here because it's all documented right here in great detail about what she claimed that he did to her. In other words, domestic violence, that he actually injured her. So those of you on the left, you wonderful progressives who actually believe that grown men with beards can play in women's sports, you so love women, you so want to protect women. What about this? What about domestic violence? Is that not enough for you? Now, later on, she recanted this, saying, oh, I had some experience with my previous husband, and I was just doing this out of precaution. I have no idea what she's talking about, but I do know this, that she actually filed this report. And by the way, if he did not commit those crimes, she committed a felony by falsifying an arrest report, a complaint, I should say. So she should be prosecuted. Either she's lying or she's a criminal or probably both. So this is absolutely, it continues to be mind-boggling. The only thing, Anthony, I can say about this is, again, this is it's the only thing that the left has going is to really, fight this kind of guerrilla warfare. They don't have any leader in the Democrat Party. All of their boutique issues, this group and balkanizing society into a million different sections and the transgender, the sanctuary cities, all of these things, they've all failed miserably. These are all 80-20 or 90-10 issues. And let me say this right now. Let me just fill the blank in here. So what happened because of that claim he made about, hey, if you send me back to my home country, that my life could be at risk because of the inner gang warfare in the prisons and I could be killed. So a judge said, okay, you can still be deported, but you have to go anywhere but El Salvador. So that was the deal. So when he got swept up when he was arrested for being here illegally and as an MS-13 gang member, Yes, the administration missed this little bit of fine print about he can't go to El Salvador, his own country, by the way. That's what this whole thing's about. It's not about him being an illegal alien. It's not about him being MS-13 or not of those other two, either two. It's about where he actually went. You know what? I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. As far back as at least 6 years, and probably before that, we know that this guy was riding around with and a part of MS-13 in this country. A gang who has committed some of the most violent, most horrific crimes against American citizens, really in the history of this country. The rapes, the tortures, the murders, the mayhem. And he was a part of that organization. And now he's fearing for his life. I don't give a crap. I don't give a damn. Screw him. He put himself in the situation. He came here illegally. He's been a part of one of the most violent gangs in the world. And now we have to worry about where he went. An administrative hiccup. I don't care. Another thing, I know I'm my high horse right now, but you mean to tell me that some district judge in this country can tell the Trump administration, can tell the president how to run foreign policy? I don't think so. By the way, I hope the Republican legislature gets this resolved and starts firing some of these district judges because they are absolutely out of control. Anthony, I'm going to take a break before we go to our next video, but I'll let you go ahead and chime in, buddy.
Yeah, I was just reading this BBC article, and it says Maryland Judge Paula Zines ruled that Mr. Garcia's, Abrego Garcia's removal from the country breached a 2019 court order that had granted him legal protection from deportation. So I'm cross-referencing back to what you said about that he can't be deported because he's claiming that he will get in trouble with MS-13's rival gangs.
He can't be deported. It just can't be to El Salvador.
Okay, in BBC they said that it's granting him legal protection from deportation. So I don't know if they're misquoting it. Yeah, I'm
wrong
right here.
Of course, yeah. And BBC stands for something I can't say on the air. But I'm telling you right now. Here's the thing. I'm asking rhetorically because everybody knows the answer to this question. If somehow, some way, and I hope it doesn't happen, if somehow, some way this creep ends up back on American soil, within minutes, the Trump administration is going to file to have him deported because he's an illegal alien and he's a member of MS-13, and he will be gone immediately. He doesn't have any protection to stay here. He came here in violation of federal law. He violated our sovereign borders. He's going to be deported immediately if somehow he ends up back here. This is all a waste of time. This is all of grandstanding from the left, and specifically this jackass from Maryland, Holland, fighting for this illegal alien criminal rather than for his true constituents who are citizens, whether natural or naturalized, born citizens here or became citizens the right way. This is what's happening. This is all grandstanding, and this is meant, by the way, one of the things they're trying to do now, they're trying to, for every single one of these gang members that the administration is identifying and taking into custody and shipping the hell out of here, what the left, what their lawyers are trying to do now, they are trying to mandate that each and every one of these gang members have to have an administrative hearing. They have to have an administrative due process to verify who they are, that they're a gang member, they're here illegally, blah, blah, blah. That would take centuries. Yeah. We had 10, 12, 18, 20 million people come in here, not to mention the gangbangers that were here before. But out of those tens of millions, how many of them would fall into this 1798 Act that allows the president to deport them? How many tens of thousands, maybe hundreds, but certainly tens of thousands of people? This is what the left wants to do: clog up the system, drain the resources, time, and energy and focus of this administration. It's not going to happen. Thank goodness. Article 2 is clear. The statutes are clear, and this is not going to happen. But this is what they're trying to do, Anthony.
Yeah.
So that's it. Go ahead.
I just wanted to add on. Yeah. If you look at the success of the Salvadorian president ad, right?
Yes.
President Bukele, right? He what he did was very militant, I'll admit, right? He went around, and if someone even had a tattoo on them, he took them in.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "You're coming with me," right? And so then afterwards he sorted people out and stuff. But when he got every single member through that method, right? Look at it's the safest city to travel to now.
Yeah.
Like literally the safest city to travel to. And I'm thinking that that we have the senator out there saying all this bull crap about this guy, right? To try to pressure the Trump administration to back down on it, because I'm thinking that whatever bullcrap that they came up with, like, oh, you can't deport, or you can't deport to this country because of gang retaliation or whatever. Like you said, who gives a crap, right?
Yep.
I'm thinking maybe this could be a dam that might break down, and them go, hey, we deported this guy, so we're going to deport all of them, and they don't want that to happen. And so then maybe that's why they're really trying to hold the ground with even this piece of crap, right? Because I'm just trying to wrap my head around it and see why would they do this. And I think I just really think that the dam will collapse and it's going to ruin, because they're saying, oh, you can't do it based on our ruling. It's like, dude, this is a Trump administration. You know, this is President Trump going, we're getting these guys out of here. You're Maryland, you know?
Yeah. Well, these are specific authorities granted to the president in Article 2. Mm-hmm. These are specific. And this is, look, there's a reason that Article 1 is first, the legislature, so Congress and the Senate. Then Article 2, the president is not first in the Constitution. The legislature is. Then it's the president. And then it's the third is Article 3 with the judiciary. And the reason is because the founding, and they write about it. They said the most dangerous branch, I'm paraphrasing, but the most dangerous branch here is the judicial, because you can get people, lawyers in black robes, is all they are, all they are. And now they can start making these individual rulings based on personal belief, personal preference, and bias. And it can really undermine laws and executive action. And that's what we've been seeing here with these 600 and something district court, the federal judges, by the way, all created by Congress, all created by Congress. And so they can be eliminated legally by Congress. And that's what I'm hoping happens. This is not the way the founding fathers envisioned it. It's not the way they wanted it. And they specifically spoke out against the possibility of it. Because you should not, a district judge in Maryland, in DC, in Seattle, wherever it is, should not be able to tell the president of the United States of America how to administer foreign policy. Let me ask people about this. And yes, and I know the Supreme Court's chimed in about the administrative thing. All they're saying is, yes, it was a violation of the administrative ruling made by the judge before that he can't go to El Salvador. But they never said the guy couldn't be deported. This is the point. Well, I want to ask people this, and I'm hoping you on the left out there, because I know you listen, I hope you'll chime in. I hope you'll send some comments in and explain this to me. If a district judge can tell the president what to do, I'm not talking about the Supreme Court. I'm talking about a lawyer in a black robe sitting in some desk in some city, has nothing to do with, where an issue took place or has no nexus to the issue other than, I don't like it or I like it. What if during World War II, some judge said, oh, you know what? No. What you did, dropping that bomb in Hiroshima, that's inhumane. That killed too many people with one blast. It's a war crime, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to order the president not to engage in that before. What would Harry Truman have done? What would he have done? He would have said, you go pound sand and make sure the horse you rode in pound sand too. This is the thing. This is foreign policy. There is a process. There's a process to rein in the president. If the legislature, if Congress, if Senate believe that he's out of bounds, it's called impeachment. That's what that's there for. A judge cannot do this. It's absolutely disgusting. By the way, I'm not a lawyer, but anybody can read this. There's a little pamphlet that I came across the other day. It's called the United States Constitution. You see, it's very, very thick. It's like Gone with the Wind or War and Peace. Well, no, it's not. It's about 25 pages. It's right here. I carry it all the time. This is where this is where I get the positions that I have. This is what I rely on. It's right there. The judges can't do this. So anyway, going back to this creep out of Maryland, well, it's two. There's one that got deported, and there's one that is in El Salvador trying to get him back to the country, also known as a senator. Anthony, yesterday, that would be on Wednesday, there was a mother that spoke at the White House. Now, by the way, I don't know this for a fact. I don't know it for a fact, but I actually watched this live on Fox News. It was about 15 minutes. This mom came in. Her name, of course, is not of course. I mean, Patty Morin. Her daughter was murdered by an illegal alien gang member in the most brutal way. And we're going to hear a little bit about this. But I don't know for a fact, but I'm told that the other platforms, MSNBC, CNN, the rest of the lamestream media, didn't play this. They didn't show it. Now, I could be wrong. If somebody wants to tell me, no, they showed it. Okay, it's fine. But if they didn't, and they don't show a lot of the stuff that is in opposition to their particular philosophies and beliefs and political stances. They don't. That I do know for a fact. Whether they show this or not, I'm not sure. I don't believe they did. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Let me know. But people say, oh, you're watching Fox, you're being indoctrinated by misinformation, it's not real news, and blah, blah, blah. Well, what you're about to see is real news. And this is going to go to the statement that Holland made. We didn't play it, but he made it about this man, Garcia, is one of my constituents. Anthony, can you do us a favor and play cut 3? And again, before we play it, this is Patty Morin. Her late daughter, Rachel, was murdered in 2023 by an illegal alien gang member. Go ahead and play cut 3, Anthony.
Victor Martinez, he waited for her. He waited for her to come closer. He saw her. He saw that there was nobody around. He attacked her. He dragged her 150 feet, blood gushing from her head. It left a 150-foot trail of her blood to the culverts, where he picked her up, he threw her against the wall of the tunnel, and he raped her. But before he did that, he stopped on that trail, and rocks, still stained with her blood, he used them to hammer her head against those rocks. They say at least 20 times they could count the cuts in her head. They said that when they did the autopsy, and I've seen the pictures, there's a 6-inch square in the back of her head where the skull is shattered the way that you would crush an eggshell in pieces. 3/4 of her brain hemorrhaged. Her right and left side of her face bashed in. Her beautiful face bashed in. Her head bashed in. Broken bones, fractures. He takes and he drags her some more. He drags her through the thorn bushes. She has all the scrapes and cuts on her body. There wasn't 1 inch of her body that didn't have some kind of injury, whether it's bruising, broken bones, contusions, the scratches. She had a fractured rib, fractured nose, fractured skull. And then he takes her into the tunnel and he picks her up. He throws her against the wall. Blood is gushing from her head. Her hair is soaked in blood. And they showed us pictures of her body against the wall, outlined. The blood outlined her body. And you could see where the blood ran down around her as he was raping her.
just so everybody knows, if you didn't see this live like I did, or you didn't watch it later, I took a bunch out. It was about a 15-minute address that she made, and that was some of the more graphic things she spoke about, but not all of it. And I'm going to play two more short clips from this. I want you to hear. But let me tell you about, in other words, why is this relevant? First of all, this happened in Maryland, and that's why I'm talking about the good senator and his reference to Garcia, the illegal alien, as a constituent, and compared to his real constituents, U.S. citizens, one of whom was murdered viciously, as you just heard. The other, who had to sit through a trial and look at photographs and listen to testimony about her daughter, who was viciously murdered. The second reason this is important, as it relates to this particular case we're talking about today, is about Martinez Hernandez, the murderer. He was just convicted, by the way. He was just convicted. Unfortunately, in Maryland, the highest penalty he can get is life in prison without parole. He should be executed. He should be executed. Let me tell you why. If that's not enough, if what you heard is not enough to justify his being put to death, let me tell you about this animal. Hartford County Sheriff Jeffrey Gaylor, I believe it's Gaylor, blamed immigration policies that allowed Martinez Hernandez to illegally cross into the United States in 2023. This is from CBS News, by the way, to their credit, CBS News, when Joe Biden was president. Investigators said Martinez Hernandez left his native country, guess where? El Salvador, in February of 2023, after several attempts following an arrest warrant that was issued for a woman's murder. This guy came in with the countless millions of illegal aliens through a border that Joe Biden had effectively removed. He was here only for several months. He got here in February. I think it was in August of 2023. He, in the most vicious, brutal way, murdered this mother of 5. And people complain. They complain about President Trump and his administration removing as many of these types of people. And yes, when I say that, I mean illegal alien gang members. Those types of people. This type of person who's actually wanted in his home country for murdering a woman. He tried several times to get out of El Salvador. He finally succeeded, comes here, and within a few months murders Rachel Morin. This is why the mass removal of illegal alien gang members and other illegal aliens, by the way, who've committed crimes, who may not be gang members, not only does it have to continue, it has to be accelerated. Anthony, I'm going to give you a shot here, but before, please play cut 4 from Patty Morin.
Mm-hmm.
These are the kind of criminals President Trump wants to remove from our country. These are the kind of criminals that we need to remove from our country. We are American citizens. Why should we allow people like this, violent criminals that have no conscience at all, to murder our mothers, our sisters, our daughters? What? I don't understand why there's even any kind of problem with this. And it's not that it's political, like the left or the right, although I understand different parties have used it in the past. But we have to look at it as we are American citizens. We need to protect our families, our borders, our children.
You can't put it plainer or more accurate than that. This is exactly right. People talk about whatever cultural diversity and all this crap. Oh, the wonderful cultures here. I'm sorry. There are some cultures that are crappy. They stink to high heaven. They fester with corruption and immorality and violence and hatred of women and gays and anybody else that doesn't actually follow exactly what the rulers, the ruling class, the dictator say what to do. That's not America. I don't care if you're Germany, you should protect Germany. If you're in Germany, you should protect Germany. If you're in El Salvador, you should protect El Salvador. If you were in Japan, you should protect Japan. If you're in America, you should protect America. In other words, every country should defend itself, especially from outside forces that may act to destroy it. Every country should. Every country has that sovereign right, including this one. And there's one more clip from Patty. And before we play that, Anthony, I'll take a deep breath here and let you say a few words if you like.
Yeah, I mean, I think now more than ever, people need to stop being afraid of being called, racist, xenophobic, whatever, because this is what led us to this point of letting people in our society illegally and not being able to even be tracked, right? Mm-hmm. They're getting funded by our money, tax money, into their accounts, and God knows who they are, right? And a lot of people, here's a fact, is a lot of these people cannot assimilate into our society, into American society. And it's been proven and proven and proven time and time again. And I really don't care what people call me or whatever, because I'm with you on this idea of we need to get these people out of here. And, obviously we need to definitely improve our immigration system, everything. And Trump actually, not to go too off topic, but he just signed an act yesterday to modernize our government, like with everything from payments to processing paperwork, so it doesn't go through 15 other people, and I know that that's going to be a step in the right direction for everything, because we're stuck in the 1970s with everything. Like it's crazy. And for us to, like you said in one of the podcasts before, the data doesn't lie. You said, what was it again? Like 10% of a population do
90% of the crime.
90% of the crime, right? Yeah. And you look at, there's approximately, we don't even know, but 15 million illegal immigrants coming in. I mean, 10% of that.
We said that
people like this guy.
And let me chime in, Anthony. By the way, I do believe in to your statement about that some people can't assimilate. I think there's specifically a few individuals here and there that won't. Look, there are people born in this country that don't assimilate to our standards.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't matter what race. It doesn't matter any of that. In other words, they're outliers.
Right.
And this is what we have jails for. Seriously. Mm-hmm. Because assimilation is just not about, what food you eat or what language you speak. It's what rules and laws that you follow. That's part of assimilation. And There are people born in this country who do not assimilate. But I will say this, and I said it a second ago, Anthony, that there are some cultures, not individuals, that could be born here, no matter what race or creed you are, it doesn't matter. But there are some cultures, if you come here as an adult from a certain culture, it's more difficult to assimilate. It's as simple as that. It's pure as that. So, that's just a reality. And people don't want to deal with that reality, then I can't help you. I cannot help you. Yeah. There are two things, first of all, for anyone to assimilate. there has to be a willingness on the part of an individual to assimilate. You have to come here with the intention of becoming an American. That's the first thing. The second thing, and whatever, I know this one or two, but the other thing is that this country or any host country has to have the resolve to make sure that immigrants assimilate. If you tell everybody, oh, you can come here to this country and you can bring all of your values, you can bring all of your beliefs, all of your standards here and operate within this system, no matter how much your standards conflict, you're smoking something that used to be illegal in most states. That's all there is to it. You cannot have it both ways. You cannot have a French culture if it's completely overrun by a different culture that refuses to assimilate. At some point, it no longer is a French culture. It's something less than a French culture, something different than French culture, but it's not a French culture. The same thing is true in any country, including here. So, it's so important what you said. I just wanted to expand on that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, a lot of people, they reject that idea because they feel like they're being a bad person, but it's really okay, what makes America America, right? Like it's not bringing in other cultures and then them imposing it on us. No. The reason why they're coming here is because we are us.
Right.
We are American. We are America. And, I haven't visited yet, but I'm planning on doing it soon. I've heard in Japan that they're very, very strict with keeping their culture and everything intact, right?
Yes. And God bless them for that.
Yeah. And a lot of people, I won't say a lot, but there's a small amount of people with a loud voice that feel like they're one of the most racist people right now openly, right? And that's their viewpoint of it, right? They're like, oh, these guys are racist because they have Japanese only stores or bars or food places, right? And it's not because they only love Japanese people. It's because they're like, this is for us only, and tourists can go to these other spots, but this is a safe haven for our people. And obviously America is much bigger. It's not to say that we should do that same system, but they're doing what they need to do to keep their society the way that they want to keep it. And I respect it totally. Like, I'm not going to go there.
100%.
Yeah, I'm not going to go there as a tourist and get upset that I can't go into a Japanese only, food place or bar. I'm looking at it like, okay, wow, they want to keep theirs because people are hooligans, and over here you can see people can cause a muck. It doesn't matter. Over there, they're very diligent in keeping their society in order, and I respect that. And
I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. You know why? Because, in other words, you want to go to Japan to see Japan.
Exactly.
It's just
100%. That's the whole point.
My wife and I, we love going to Italy. We love going to Italy because we enjoy Italy. I don't want to go there. Now, I know people may think this is a little bit, it's a little bit off topic. It's not. Because all of this crap that we're seeing, the massive influx under the Biden administration, and before that, by the way, but much, much worse, it accelerated to light speed under the Biden administration. Part of it was, again, it was the multiculturalism push.
Right.
That was some of the justification. There's certainly more to it than that. I think that, that they wanted to change demographics for voting reasons, things like this. But
that's like the subconscious argument that they implemented first.
I don't even mean subconscious, Anthony. I mean, it's right in front of their thick skulls. I really do. But this was I see what you mean. You're right. Exactly.
It's underlayered between everything. It's a multicultural thing. Like, if you don't accept that, you're racist.
This is exactly right. This is the feeling. Oh, we have to be the wonderful, open-minded, accepting, beautiful people, and anybody can come because we're a melting pot and blah, all that crap. The thing is, we're not a melting pot. We are a place that comes in and everything becomes part of the system. We blend it into. So it's not a melting pot where actually what they're describing is not a melting pot when you think about it. It's about putting ingredients in different parts of the bowl and keeping them there and then trying to have them all work together. That's the analogy I give. It's not a melting pot. So
we have a hobo stew now.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So I want to finish on this. There's one more cut from Patty Moore, and if you can play cut 5, Anthony, as we wind things down.
Yep.
And to have a senator from Maryland who didn't even acknowledge or barely acknowledge my daughter and the brutal death that she endured, leaving her 5 children without a mother and now a grandbaby without a grandmother, so that he can use my taxpayer money to fly to El Salvador to bring back someone that's not even an American citizen.
Bingo. I wanted to end with that short clip for this reason, Anthony, and ask this question. Is this really the hill that the Democrat Party wants to die on? And apparently right now it is, because you go to the left-wing outlets, you listen to people like this senator and others in Congress and the Senate, and they are fighting tooth and nail to have this guy brought back to this country, and I think even more importantly, to use it as a foil to slow down and stop the mass deportation of these criminal aliens. And that's exactly what they are. This is one of the hills, but it's a big one. And I say it's a big one because this really was the number one issue in the 2024 election. Immigration, secure borders. It's one of the primary reasons, one or two, that Donald Trump won this resounding victory. And now the Democrats are doing everything they can to bring back the good old days of open borders, unvetted criminals coming to our country, and murdering people like Rachel Marin. This is absolutely sick. They have nothing to stand on. They are not interested in the rule of law. They are interested in power. They are interested in virtue signaling. And I hope they're interested in losing the next couple of elections, because if they keep this crap up, it's exactly what's going to happen. Bam, I'm done. Anthony, I'm giving you the final word.
Yeah, I hope that they continue trying to peddle this bullcrap, because they're definitely going to lose. Like, I mean, it just, at some point, you could see it, that didn't work out in the 2024 election with them trying to peddle that crap, right? I think that we have people like AOC and stuff like that trying to really push these ideas still, and I think they're going to end up getting caught up, and it's going to catch up to them, because like with this whole Maryland thing, I think it's just the beginning of it, because there's just no way that there's not going to be any repercussions of what this person is doing, the senator, right? Like flying to El Salvador on a taxpayer dime and not even mentioning this poor woman's daughter. Like, that was just the most gruesome thing I've probably even heard of.
Well, by the way, her mom, Patty, did say, well, hardly mentioned her. So we want to be accurate. He actually mentions it.
Okay. Well,
but look at the amount of time and energy and effort and passion he's putting into bringing this criminal alien gangbanger back this country. This is, it's unseemly. It's disgusting. And I think this bodes very, very poorly for the Democrat Party if this, again, is a hill that they want to die on. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you right now, for those of you who disagree, I would love to get some of your comments out there and try to keep them civil. I try to keep my responses civil. And maybe if I get an intelligent response, maybe I'll be happy to have you on one day. We can debate in public. That would be fun for me, and you can have at it. Anthony Jackson, you're always great behind the scene, and you're always great in front of the camera as well. By the way, when you get a chance, get to the doctor about that hair. There's something serious wrong. God bless you. Hey, listen, everybody, please subscribe, please share, please watch. We're doing the best we can to really support the rule of law, get the word out there. And your support helps us do that. God bless you. We'll see you next time on Your Leo Nation.